there's had to be a point throughout this 5 years when he's planning this comeback that he looks in the mirror and asks himself, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this? You know, he's a smart guy. He had to be honest with himself at some point in the last 5 years or at some point in this training camp and said, what am I doing? And I believe the answer to that is he's addicted to the limelight. He's addicted to people talking about him. He's addicted to being in headlines. I don't know if he's addicted to the fight itself anymore. And also injuries. You know, when you don't live the healthiest lifestyle, your body's more susceptible to injuries. You know, it weakens everything when you live an unhealthy lifestyle. So that could have been part of it as well. The shiny, swollen face could have been telling us the whole time this guy's coming into this not at 100%.
I'm so sad right now. I thought we were gonna be ripping nose lattes, celebrating. I was gonna try to fucking black out. I was gonna just chug proper. I was trying to get faded on the pod. But now I'm gonna probably just be hitting downers. And that's not good either. Sad. Oh God, I hope Conor doesn't go off the fucking deep end. And if he does, I hope he calls me and asks me to join him, because I would love to fucking partake in off the deep end with you. If you need a mate, fucking let me know. This needs to be a holiday. There needs to be days that are just depressed days, that we can just all be depressed on that day.
Yeah, devastating for the fans, but not the end of the world for Conor, in my opinion. You know, he got 2 fights left on his contract, and he's got rid of one of them without really getting punched in the head at all. So I can't say it's the end of the world for him. Not saying in any way, shape, or form that's intentional, and I'm sure, you know, he did sustain some kind of knee injury. I'm just saying, it's not as unfortunate for him as it is for the fans. I'd say it's obviously a real heartbreaker. You pay your hard-earned money. Everyone's excited for the return of Conor McGregor, and then you get such an unfortunate ending.
Dude, I just hope this doesn't pull him in a negative way, you know, this gravitation of bad things happening over and over again. Because it seemed like from the outside, like he was getting things together. He was going to church. He was spending more time with his family. The way he was talking seemed like he was trying to find the straight and narrow. I just hope this doesn't mix up what he has going on in his normal life, you know, his business, his competitive life. I hope he stays on the track in his normal day-to-day life, man.
This sport is a bitch. This sport is a bitch. I've got one eye. I've got no knees. I've got fake knees. I live in constant neck pain. I have a deformed wrist. You can see that there. And that's just the beginning of my injury. This sport is a tough sport. Okay, it is one of the toughest sports on the planet, but it's also one of the best and one of the most rewarding. And Conor McGregor's had an incredible career. What he's done for this sport really is incredible. The fever around Las Vegas this week was wild. The excitement for Conor McGregor coming back after all this time, 5 years away from the sport, after breaking his leg, was at an all-time high, okay? But we know what happened.
Conor opens up with a flying head kick, misses, but, you know, through beautiful. It wasn't that far off. It could almost caught Max, but his supporting leg took all the weight and went in a weird way, kind of injured it, and immediately Max kind of knew Max was stepping off the gas pedal a little bit. Conor, I think, threw another straight left. He fell on his face. Max jumped on him, and shortly after they stopped it.
Well, it might have actually been the game plan. I mean, it might have been the game plan to just charge out. And look, he threw the kick with the broken leg, right? He's got this titanium rod through the center of his tibia, and that's the kick he threw. Maybe to prove that he can still kick with that leg.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know why he did it that way.
Right now, I'm just praying for the guy, you know, all jokes aside, as a human being. Even when I was in there, you could see me telling the ref, bro, this guy is done. Just let it go. And the referee was telling me, bro, thank you for pushing me, because it was a hard spot. He had a hard feeling. And Conor's crazy. Conor's like, fight. I was like, you're fucking crazy, bro. For the first one, when he first fell down, he was like, fight, I'm good. And when we went down the second time, I could just tell, like, his whole demeanor changed. I was like, bro, this called his fight, you know?
But, you know, you got to give
all the credit due to Max willing to step aside and go, look, man, the guy's injured, pay attention to his injury. I don't want, he could have easily capitalized on that. He didn't. So to do that, what Max did, you got to give your hats off to that guy. What a warrior he was by acknowledging that he wants a fair fight and he knows it wasn't a fair fight. So I respected that from Max immensely also. So, one guy I felt bad for because nobody deserves to go out that way. And the other guy I respect immensely because nobody deserves to take somebody out like that.
I think we need to be careful when we judge because there have been times where people have done crazy things to start fights and they've worked, and we praise the athlete as if they're some genius. Tonight was one of those times that it didn't work. I remember Fabricio Verdum just running across the octagon and super kicking Travis Brown like he was on the game Double Dragon. Clearly, Jorge Masvidal did it to Ben Askren, and we all praised him for that. I think we need to be careful when we have a big opinion on something that happens, because sure, everybody's mad. It went sideways, but had Conor landed that, everybody would praise him for what he did.
I'm not going to take jabs at him. It's it's unfortunate, but this. I'll take that back. I will take a little bit of a jab at him. You cannot expect to do the things that you did to your body for 5 years and then expect for it to perform the way that it used to perform before you do that to your body for those 5 years. It does not happen. You need to take care of your body every single day. Every single day. You cannot abuse yourself and expect to compete at the highest level. It doesn't matter if you're fucking Conor McGregor, and it doesn't matter if you're anybody else. You need to take care of your body. This is a learning lesson for him, for any athlete.
It was sad to see, you know what I mean? But that's the thing with this sport. You've got to stay consistent. You've got to keep fighting. And I think where he hasn't fought in so long, his body couldn't keep up with it. And coming out and throwing a crazy kick like that first thing, his knee just collapsed underneath him, and I feel bad for him. You know what I mean? He's put so much into coming back and getting back in the octagon, and that happens in the first 5 seconds. You've got to feel for him.
Listen, I hope Conor gets better, but this fight was about a little bit more than just the physical performance. Conor shared with us that he had some demons. He shared with us that he was getting a little off course in his life and he wanted to get back. He shared with us that MMA is the one thing that he really knew could straighten him out. Look, I don't want to be some Anthony Robbins here, but in all fairness, if Conor's to take those lessons with him, if he's to straighten out life even without the competition, this will be worth it. In the long run, this will end up looking like a success.
I think there was a lot of hope that something special was going to happen, and I think from Conor's perspective, there was a lot of promise that something special was going to happen. But all the conversations. I mean, I've been in at the Extreme Couture all week, and it's full of pros and amateurs and good fighters and coaches, and I'm chatting with people all the time, and everyone was like, "Yeah, McGregor's probably got around," and then he's cooked, and it's like that was kind of the perspective. And when you fight in Max, like, you've got to have the best round of your life in the first round, because he'll just suck the life out of you as the fight goes on. So it was always a matter of time before McGregor started to look terrible in the fight. It was just a shame it was in the opening seconds.
There was time when I was fighting Hirasuto in the second fight, I threw a body kick and he caught it and I whipped away from him and it tore my popliteus, and I had a grade 2 tear in my LCL. I was able to fight through it because the LCL and the popliteus are not major ligaments, but it does suck when you tear stuff, when you kick somebody and you try to pull away from them. But with that being said, Conor McGregor gets out of the fight with a TKO doctor stoppage, and I'm already over it. It's fighting. I'm an athlete. It's part of the game.
Listen, he's done everything. He's got loads of money. But sometimes it isn't always about the money and doing everything. Sometimes you just want to fight. Yeah, it's not good, that. Disappointing for everyone, isn't it? But it is what it is.
Before we thought, all right, if he goes out there against Max, they're going to absolutely demolish him on his final fight on the way out, right? Like do like a Carlos Prates. You can't do that anymore because you need to give him an opponent where people think he can at least survive for a round before he gets beaten, right? So the UFC's kind of like in a weird position, right? Like usually they would destroy their stars on the way out, but they have to put together a kind of matchup that would still bring in enough people to watch him fight.
For sure. He's a, once in a lifetime type of individual. And while he's still competing, people are going to want to see him compete in person. So I think he's going to always have a bit of that, but it's just, he has to ask himself, what is he doing? He's almost 40 years old. He's been out 5 years. If his knee's blown out, it's another year. It's, with the record breaking career he's had, I would just hate to see him be a freak show fighter like that and only come out for these exhibitions and I don't want to see that. That's not real fighting to me.
I don't think he can really rebound from this, but if there is a rebound process for him, there's only one fight for me. Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler, because Michael Chandler was promised this fight years ago, and if you're going to give him a fight, if he's got one fight left on his contract, Michael Chandler's the guy.
Conor decides to fight again, battling the demons to come back and try to, not even just to get to the octagon, but to get through the fight. What do you do if you're the UFC? Like, you had the Chandler stuff with the toe, out for years, then he finally gets in and it's happening. Fucking tickets sold out. Vegas sold out. Gets the fight. Blows his shit out in 30 seconds. It's like, do you book Conor again? And Paramount was happy with the views. But I mean, it's like, so I guess they still made money, but how do you sell it again? The thing is it will sell again. Conor versus anybody, end of the year, next year, will be huge.
If he comes out and says, hey, give me one more, I'll keep my mouth shut. You owe me one by contract. I want one more. I agree. I've been out too long, so don't let me be out this time. Give me a fight. I think that we'll fall in line. Here's the thing. He would have to do that for love of competition. Why do I say that? You can't main event somebody at this price tag and not have a title attached. Now that's competition. We got to relook at the deal. It won't be a 5-round fight. And for the first time ever, it's not going to be a main event.
Again, we don't know how long Conor's going to be out. We don't know how long the recovery is going to take. But let's say it's 9 months. Let's say it's a year and he comes back to the table. Is it not fair for the UFC to say, hey, brother, I know we've got this one guarantee left, but you saw what happened last time. I don't think we quite got our money's worth last time, and I don't believe the public is going to believe that you're 100% and ready to go. So we got to talk about this before we do this again.
If you asked me right now, if you said, like, I'm going to give you even money odds on will he ever fight again in any capacity, I would take the yes. I think he will, because I don't think that I think that he has too much pride for that to be the lasting impression of how he goes out. I don't think it's a rational decision, but I think it's a decision that he would make based on, I can't have people look at me as this guy who, his body's breaking down on him, who can't compete, who
The problem is he is the biggest star in the history of the sport, and he is held to a certain standard, and over the last few years that standard hasn't been met, and so he is also a very proud person, and I don't think he wants to go back. If it is truly his body failing him and he is not healthy enough to compete, I don't think we're ever going to see him again. I don't think we're ever going to see him compete again, because I don't think he wants to be embarrassed.
Islam tweeted, Conor beat Conor. He said, Conor beat Conor. Congrats, Max.